And welcome to another episode of Raices Live. I am so happy you have joined us today. My name is Eric Belardo, and I am so happy to have Jorge and Wilkin here as guests today. Today, we're going to be talking about Hispanic diversity, the Hispanic Awareness Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, and Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Plus, we're going to be talking about Twitch and Facebook and all those topics that you are all wanting to know. So if you're here for that, stay tuned. And welcome back. So again, thank you for joining us. My name again is Eric Belardo. You guys know me as Cyber Papa. And today we have an exciting show for you guys with Jorge and Wilkin. I'm going to bring them on board. But before I do that, if you are joining us from Facebook and you want your comments to be seen, please go to this website here to authorize and be able to see your comments. So without any further ado, here's Jorge and Wilkin. Hey, gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's get started. Let's start with you, Jorge. Tell us about you, tell us what you do, and tell us about the company.
Awesome. My name is Jorge Orchilles. In English, I go by George. It's easier for others. My last name, everyone butchers because of that double L. You know, it's like yes or yes in English. And I'm originally from Venezuela. I moved to South Florida when I was 2 years old and lived in Florida my whole life. So Florida man, 100%. Live down in South Florida, which is great because of the diversity, right? We get people from all over, went to high school here, have friends from all over the world. My wife is Brazilian, lots of friends from Colombia, from Venezuela, from Puerto Rico, from Cuba, etc. And been down here my whole life. Started hacking as a little kid. The good hacking, right? Like no one thinks hacking is bad, right? Hacking is good. Legal hacking, doing fun stuff on computers, and mostly video games back in the day. Went to college here at Florida International University. Go Panthers. Not sure of any other Floridians or Panthers out there. I see some talking about Brazil and whatnot, so cool. And worked at a company down here called Terramark. It's a network access point of the Americas where the undersea cables come into the Southeast United States and connects the world. Had a lot of fun there. It was like Disney World for geeks. Then I found out I can be hired to hack and was hired by Citigroup as an ethical hacker, as they were called back then. Started doing vulnerability assessment. 10 years later, I got to build out the pen test team, the red team, the purple team, do adversary emulations, a ton of fun. And then the past year, I've been at SCYTHE, a startup where we built a adversary emulation platform. Essentially, attack yourself so that you can figure out how to detect and respond to the real attacks before they cause an impact. So thank you for having me. More stuff on my bio. I teach for SANS. I guess that's relevant here. I've been doing that for 12 years. And I wrote the 2-day red team exercise and adversary emulation course there.
Very much. Wilkin.
All right, thank you so much, Eric and Jorge, for being in this conversation. As some of you already know me, my name is Wilkinson Sanchez. I'm originally from a small town in the Dominican Republic called Bani. I immigrated to the United States when I was 19 years old, so I lived pretty much my entire life in the Dominican Republic. I'm 27 now, so I've been here for 7 years. So, since I was a little kid, I initially wanted to be a lawyer. That's one thing about me. I wanted to be a lawyer. And then, being a lawyer was too expensive for me in the Dominican Republic. So I said, well, let me break computers and see what can I learn from it. And, when I was 11, 12, I started a very, very small, I call it company, in my house in the Dominican Republic, where I would help everyone around my community in my neighborhood, to fix their computers, fix their phones, answer any questions that they may have about computers and technology as a whole. Growing up in a third world country, the resources that I had, to learn about technology were very, very limited. We didn't have access to the internet like we have it here, or access to, the technologies that we have here in the United States. So when I moved to the United States when I was 19, I went to a community college, the Community College of Rhode Island, where I started to learn English. At first, I wanted to just get into technology, learn about coding, cybersecurity, all that stuff, but I didn't know the language. A lot of those concepts were in English, and I didn't understand them. So I had to learn English first. It took me about 2-3 years for me to be fluent in English, and then I got enrolled into the computer science program at the local community college, where I got exposed to a lot of coding terminology, cybersecurity, and technology as a whole. After I graduated from the community college, I asked myself, what do I want to do now? Do I want to go back to college and keep studying, or can I share the things that I know in my community? And that's how RITE, or the Rhode Island Group for Hispanic Technology, comes in place. We help our community, we help small businesses, we help people who are underrepresented to learn about technology. But the most important part about the work that we are doing is that we are teaching them in non-conventional ways. And I'll get into more details later on, which is pretty interesting, the work that we're doing.
Oh, great work that you guys are doing in Rhode Island. Jorge, with you guys with SCYTHE. I love you guys. I know most of your leadership team, and all the stuff that you guys are doing with this penetration testing, emulation. So how do you see the diversity in your area in the penetration testing and emulation? And, you are fortunate that you are in an area that has a lot of diversity. How does that look like in the companies that you've been in the area?
Yeah. For me, like, this wasn't even a thought until later on in life, when like I matured and figured things out. But living in South Florida, like, we all just got along. No one was really from here. Very few locals, if you will. All the locals were open, and like I never got exposed to any of that until later on in my life, that I actually started seeing it. So I was particularly naive. Yeah, or even finding a job here, getting clients here. Even before I started at Terramark, I was just fixing computers around the neighborhood, and I was young and I knew how to do it, and people were downloading viruses, so I'd charge them like $35 an hour just to fix their machine, and little by little, started adding up, and for a high schooler and then college kid, that worked out. And then in Terramark, just all types of people worked there. It was definitely more male, especially in the security operations center, in the network operations center, etc. So there I started, kind of noticing some of the stuff, and kind of, maturing and realizing it. But yeah, even at, after that, Citi is probably one of the most diverse organizations. Obviously, no one's perfect. They're one of the first ones that put out their diversity numbers and actual pay and all that. So they're obviously eye-opening. But at that point, I was a manager, and I didn't see it that way. I would hire the best person that came, regardless of where they were from. But then, yeah, you start, seeing and hearing all these other stories in other locations. So definitely very, very fortunate that I came to South Florida, where that wasn't as bad. But of course, we know all the other examples. So I'll let Wilkin weigh in on some of that.
Yes, definitely. So, to talk a little more about that, I can say that when I first moved to the United States, one of the roadblocks that I encountered was the fact that I didn't know English. You know, I didn't know English. I didn't have a college degree, and also I went to a high school in a country that wasn't the United States. So when I applied to those jobs, those were the three things that they will only look at. They didn't look at my skills. They didn't look at would you be able to perform at the role. No, so they don't look at I don't have a college degree. I don't speak fluent English, and I didn't study in a high school in the United States. So that limited myself to be able to apply for jobs or get jobs in the stuff that I wanted to be doing, right? Technology, cybersecurity, and so on and so on. So the way I see it is that companies are limiting themselves when it comes to hiring talent in every aspect of technology. We are looking at college degrees like if it's the only way that a person or an applicant will be great at a job, right? There are so many ways that you can learn how to code. You can learn how to be a ethical hacker. You can learn networking without necessarily having to go to college. I'm not saying that going to college is a bad thing, which it is a great thing. It has been for me. It has been one of the greatest things I've done in my life, being able to get some sort of college education. But it's not the only thing or the only way that an employee will be great at any company. So I think that the talent is very limited because of that, because companies are limiting themselves to hiring people just because they probably don't have a college degree. That's my opinion.
Yeah, 100% on that one. If you don't mind me adding a little more to it, that's actually one of the first realizations I had when we were talking about diversity. I became a manager, which was great. I got to hire people, but in cybersecurity, the pay is a little more than a lot of other areas in a bank, for example, especially a global organization. So to pay the same that someone else was making as a pen tester down the street, the C level, which they called there the salary level, had to have that requirement. They had to have a college degree, or we simply could not pay that. Now, there's exceptions to everything, but now you are essentially making me go out of my way to ask for these exemptions, and large companies, convoluted processes everywhere you look. And so is that a turnoff? For me, it wasn't. I still wanted the best person, and I went that length, but I bet you a lot of managers did not. They would go back and just say, you know what, find someone that has a college degree because that's the requirement, or don't pay them the same. So either you hire them and you pay them less, or you have to go through all these hoops to pay that. And the first example was actually a white guy from Philadelphia that didn't have a college degree, but very, very good. I'm like, I want this person, does not have a college degree. What do I have to do to make this happen? And it was a mission, like multiple steps of approval, writing reasons why, no college degree. What do they have to supplement that? What certifications do they have? This and that. It's like, wow, like this person has a track record of being awesome. All the referrals are great, etc. And we are spending another 2 months before hiring this person because of that requirement. So eventually I figured out the way around it, like any hacker would. Just figure out how things work and figure out the ways around it legally, obviously, always. And I was able to hire some very good talent that didn't have college degree, some that didn't have certifications. Because I teach for SANS. That's a $7,000 6-day training. Like that is not accessible to many people unless your employer is paying for it. So yeah, I think that kind of built that systematic problem that we see a lot of privileged people that did afford college to be able to get those higher paying jobs in the pen testing and offensive security field.
And I have an actual video on this channel where I talk about the different routes in cybersecurity. One of the ones that I talk about is the training, the education, getting in through the less expensive certification, the CompTIA or some of the other ones, and getting that experience, coming from another career field like a system administrator or something like that, and transferring over security, for the traditional university, college course. But what we're seeing now, and that's one of the things that we're seeing here in Raices, and we have a pathway that we're providing now student colleges, where people start in college and go to these cybersecurity degrees and finish. They still are not ready to, because what they're getting taught is kind of the concepts, large concepts. So, how can we supplement that and bring them to the level where when they finish college, they can get hired? And
Yeah. So on that, like when I went to college, cybersecurity wasn't an option. I actually started doing computer engineering, but then I realized I had to take like physics with calculus 1 and 2. I'm like, no. I already like work and fix computers. I'm pretty good at that. So I'm gonna go do MIS. So I got around that calculus hurdle. Plus, who needs math, right? We got calculators now. No, I'm just kidding. But back to a point of what can you do? I learned how to hack on my own, like mess around with your own stuff. Especially nowadays, you can tinker and play around with so many things, right? And everyone has different learning styles. That's something we learn as SANS instructors, right? If you pay that much, we're going to make sure you learn. But some people learn by seeing, some by doing, some by hearing, some by so some by teaching. So there's a number of ways to do that. And I don't know what you're saying with this, but
I just realized that I was tactile learning,
oh,
observation,
okay. I'm like,
hearing.
can you not? I looked at my mute button, like,
No,
okay.
but I looked at myself and I said, "Am I doing the monkey thing?"
Could have been, but yeah. There are a ton of ways to get into the industry. For the pen testing side, I actually prefer people that are coming from a system administrator background, a background in network operations or networking, because they understand how things work because they built it. And then we could teach them how to break it. Same with developers and source code review. I ran a team that did source code review, and it was a lot easier to hire a developer that was sort of interested in cybersecurity, teach them the security part, than doing it vice versa. So I don't think I think nowadays, right? And I'm old, right? So I got in this before these were options to study for. But yeah, I think there's so many resources out there that are free. There's something that we do at SCYTHE. Like we actually next week, I'm going to do this because it's free, right? Apart from wanting to buy my shiny, awesome product, next week on Wednesday, we have a Purple Team workshop where you come on, everyone gets their own environment, and we eat the cost. Everyone gets like 5 virtual machines, and it costs us a little bit of money, but that's okay. We're a startup. We'll get in sales, but anyone could join, right? Students as well, and you learn how red teaming works, how adversary emulation works, how cyber threat intelligence works, right? It's a 3-hour workshop, about an hour of one of our top guys, Tim Schultz. He's an adversary emulation lead here at SCYTHE, and he worked at MITRE, so part of the attack team that actually built attack. And you get to hear him for an hour for free, and then have a couple hands-on stuff. So there's a ton of this out there. Just this month, right, with Cybersecurity Awareness Month, there's a whole bunch of blogs. I'll post one up right now that our head of support, Elaine, just wrote yesterday about a bunch of different free resources that can get you in. And yeah, that is enough to get hired, right? It might not be enough to get around that first HR recruiter, but there's ways around that, and that's through networking. So if you're stuck there, definitely hit me up. I'll put you in contact. I know a lot of people that are hiring right now, and it's definitely possible.
We have 950 openings in the division right now. February.
Wow.
So, oh yeah. So we're hiring too. So let me. So Wilkin, what about you? What are the things that you guys are doing with Right over there to teach other people and bring them into technology?
Absolutely. So like I was telling earlier, we started Right almost 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago. October 10th, now on the 10th, October 10th. And, at first we would host different workshops at different libraries across Rhode Island where we teach general technology to the community. And that's my point, non-conventional technology. Sometimes when you say technology, people think it's, let me learn how to code. Let me learn how to create a program. Let me learn how to hack a network. And in 2 weeks, it doesn't work like that. How can I teach my community, people who are 50, 60-year old and probably had never touched a computer before? They are curious. They want to learn how to use social media. They want to learn how to operate a phone. They want to learn how to use a computer. So what if I can share my skills to the community? The impact that we'll be making will be huge. We have a lot of micro entrepreneurs, a lot of small businesses, bodegas, salons, barbershops, makeup artists in our community that they want to implement technologies in ways that make sense to them and their business. It doesn't make sense for a makeup artist to learn how to code or how to build an application because they probably will never do that on their own, right? But what if I can show them a way that they can increase sales by using maybe social media, or let me show you how you can create your own website using these automated tools. By doing that, you are already making an impact in your community. So essentially what we do, it's every other week or so, we run workshops. Sometimes we collaborate with a lot of nonprofits across the state. They give us the funds. We put things together. We invite all those small businesses. We show them what they can do. We show them the value of doing that. They implement it. We can also help them implement it. And you're already making an impact, like I was saying, in the community by showing them technology in ways that make sense to them as part of the community.
That's amazing. You just received an award just recently for the work that you were doing, right? Oh, something
yes.
On media.
Yeah, definitely. So at the beginning of the pandemic, actually, let me speak about two things. At the beginning of the pandemic, my city in the Dominican Republic, they are lacking in technology training and technology resources, right? So I said, well, what can I do to help them? I'm over here, they are over there. Technology, let me leverage technology. So I ran a couple of workshops, and we trained about 200 teachers in my hometown on leveraging Google Classroom. We show them on Google Classroom how can you leverage that tool so you can teach your students remotely without having to get exposed to COVID, right? So, my company went viral in the Dominican Republic, and one of the biggest newspapers, they wrote an article about us. And, everyone was talking about us. The whole week was, interviews from all over the place, people talking about us. And recently they did some awards in my hometown too. And I was recognized, for the work that I'm doing here in the United States and also in my hometown. Because, I'm over here, but I'm always thinking about them. How can I use the things that I already know so I can help them?
That was wonderful. Thank you very much for all the work that you did. And, I saw that, and that was just amazing. Everybody on the stream is saying thank you. So,
yeah.
All right. So, let's go to another topic here about how you guys are bringing people into the industry. How are you ensuring? Again, we want to hire the best candidate, but how do we get those candidates that are coming in? How do we ensure that we're training that next generation?
Yeah, that's important, right? And that's like systematic stuff, right? We often talk to each other in these echo chambers. That is Infosec, Twitter, and whatnot, right? So, we have to educate everyone, bring people in early on. I have a 7-year-old, and she can't download apps on her own. Like, she wants an app, she has to come, and I have to authorize it. And then I've taught her not to put her date of birth and real information on everything. It was funny, actually, with the new school year, she was signing up for this new online program that the school made her do, and it wasn't working. I go check it out, and she had put in all fake data. So I'm like, that's why it's not working. Like, this is your school. You have to, this good job, but it's your school. So let's put the real information so that your teacher has it. Then 2 weeks later, the teacher reset all the students' passwords to 123.4. So while yes, I'm doing my thing because I'm in cybersecurity, like the teachers, right? Going back to showing teachers how to do stuff. Yeah, we have to do that. It's all of our responsibility because no one else is. So we have to go and train the kids, especially from early on, get them interested in this, right? Get them interested in technology. I'm not talking just about being on social media, like actually how things work. There's a number of different ways to do that, right? And then go from there. At Citi, I couldn't find people when we were hiring. So one of the programs I built was a analyst program, getting people straight out of college. Again, still a college requirement, but no cybersecurity experience, so no one was hiring. So what did we do? We did 9 months of SOC work, 9 months of offensive work, and 9 months as a security officer. And then based on those, right, and they were getting paid for all of this, they could decide and see where to get. But now you have someone, almost with 3 years experience coming out straight out of college with actual experience in cybersecurity. So there's a ton of different things that we can do, but we have to, it's a systematic issue. We have to start at the lowest with the kids and get them trained up from the get-go all the way through helping everyone, right? I'm sure everyone's tech support for their grandparents and uncles and aunts, but yeah, it's bigger than that.
Sorry, Eric. No, I was going to say that I agree with Jorge on what he was saying. We got to train our kids. You are in first grade, for example, talk to them about cybersecurity, talk to them about technology, in the language that they understand at that age, of course. And also a group of people that sometimes we forget about are elderly. For instance, my mom, she works in an environment with people around her age, and almost every day I talk to her about cybersecurity and technology, and I tell her, don't click on this link for this reason, for that reason, right? And then when she goes back to her job, she shows them about that and the reason why they cannot click on that. So at the same time, I'm training her and she's training her coworkers on the problems of technology and cybersecurity as a whole, right? So back to it again. I think that we should train everyone, from kids, young people, adults, elderly, because we are part of a technology era and we need to learn about it.
Everybody's got a computer in their pocket, right?
Definitely.
So one of the things that we're doing, Jorge, is with Raices, is that we're going to start a new program called Raices Kids. And we're currently building this program to hit people, try to hit Hispanics, Latinas, Latinx in the communities across the United States, to start cybersecurity education at an early age. And we're blessed that we have Temple University, the CARE Lab, to help us with some of those initiatives. And we're going to start hopefully disrupting that and working with a lot of other nonprofits to bring that education, elementary, middle, and high school stuff. So I'm hoping that we can make a difference there, even if it's a little bit, change the word of one drop at a time.
That's how we got to do it. One drop at a time, little by little.
Drop at a time. Can't eat the whole elephant, like they say. All right, so gentlemen, let's talk about things that are happening right now out there. Right? Let's talk.
I think people are aware of cybersecurity.
And what the heck happened to Facebook, WhatsApp?
Yeah.
The other one, Instagram?
All right.
It's funny because we are only a couple of days into Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and it's already a whole nightmare.
Two big ones.
Two incidents, definitely.
Two big ones for the for the world, but we've had more things happening behind the scenes. But let's talk about Facebook. Jorge, let's start with you. Tell me what happened with Facebook.
No one, as of 11:30 in the morning Eastern time on Monday, no one could access Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp. So it was a productive day for the next 8 hours or so, as essentially Facebook was off. Essentially what happened is a update to BGP, that is a router protocol. Facebook is so big, they own all this network and IP space, and their routers are always advertising their routes, how to get from where to where. And from what the Facebook engineering blog said, to avoid any sort of conspiracy theories, is that it was a combination of human error and a bug that essentially wiped Facebook off of the internet. So no one could reach them. Your phone, if you have Instagram, if you have WhatsApp, if you have Facebook, is always making these requests out to Facebook and these servers. So they go down. What happens next? DNS. DNS is how we go to a website. We go to google.com. We don't go to an IP address, but computers speak at IPs. So all these requests were going to this DNS servers, Comcast DNS if you have Comcast, or Cloudflare 1.1.1.1 or Google 8.8.8. And now we were starting to overwhelm those servers, which essentially actually caused this ripple effect of bringing a whole bunch of things down. It was so bad, though, that Google, I keep saying Google, it's Facebook. Facebook is so large that they locked themselves out. So they hosted their DNS server inside of that space that they essentially erased from the internet, and there was no way to go back in. Some of the things I read was that at the Facebook campus, anyone that's been there, they don't have keyholes to get into buildings. They use, a different access control of the future, and it's all inside that network. So that not being accessible caused tremendous problems. They couldn't get into the server rooms. I heard that they had to physically break things with like an angle grinder and whatnot to actually finally get in and be able to fix the problem. So, it was down. The facts are it was down most of the day. Even when it came back up, it's not like you flip a switch. Imagine they have all this power and you flip a switch and you essentially will cause a surge. So that was the technical aspects of what occurred with Facebook before we talk about the social aspects, because I think that's also important. There was a whistleblower on 60 Minutes the day before, and then today there was today or yesterday there was a testimony. So we'll talk about those too.
All right, Wilkin. So what did you hear about Facebook? What did you guys do? Did you do anything for the community when this happened?
Yeah, so I can speak about the social impact that had. So I usually communicate with my family in the Dominican Republic over WhatsApp. So I would send them a message, no check mark. It was just the little clock. They started panicking because they were like texting me. The messages didn't get delivered, so they were calling me. Oh, what's going on? What's happening? I'm like, well, relax. It's just an internet outage, or not an internet outage. Facebook is down, right? So just calm down. So I reached out to pretty much friends and family who didn't know about what was happening at that time, and tell them, calm down. It's just gonna come back up today, tomorrow, maybe never. Who knows? But it might at some point. So if you stop using Instagram, it's all good. If it's gone, it's for good. But the impact that had in let's say small businesses, it was huge. A lot of small businesses rely on Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and also how they can communicate with their clients. And not being able to perform business for several hours, 6-7 hours, it was it's a huge problem for them, because the issue started around 11 in the morning. So imagine from 11 to like 6-7 p.m. you didn't do any business. If you run ads on those social media. Exactly. So you lost a whole day. So it was traumatic for a lot of people, and also users who are addicted to social media.
Yeah, the business impact will be interesting to calculate, though, because especially in Latin America, like everyone uses WhatsApp. When I tried to boycott WhatsApp back when they tried to change the terms and monetize a messaging app, no one wanted to. They're like, dude, we can't. We talk to family, we talk to everyone here. So what was funny was that yesterday, everyone that did come over to the Signal or Telegram side did have a way to communicate with each other. So, redundancy. We literally, and for businesses, like, this is a great tabletop. Like, what would happen if you accidentally delete everything from the internet?
Oh yeah, and they're saying that the impact to Facebook ads was in excess of $60 million for the seven hours that they were down. It wasn't a small amount. And yes, Signal.
Well, and the stock, like, Mike Zuckerberg lost $6 billion in one day just in the stock market dropping. But again, that is something that is mostly a privilege to own stock, right? Until Robinhood came around. But those are other things that didn't impact us so much. Impacted most of us in LATAM with the communication.
So you came up with a good point there. The misinformation and disinformation that started because at the same time for the 60 Minutes article, the whistleblower during the day, that person was testifying in Congress, and all of a sudden Facebook. And while we know it was a technical flaw, of course, people will start with misinformation, saying that it was all tied together. We just had a show about misinformation, disinformation with Isabella Garcia from Chris Krebs' group. So Jorge, what does SCYTHE do with this cyber threat intelligence? You guys do anything on how do we apply that to cybersecurity?
Yeah, so SCYTHE is a platform that does adversary emulation. We rely heavily on cyber threat intelligence. So understanding how attacks work and leveraging that intelligence to then emulate that attack in your organization to see if you can prevent the attack, obviously, is always a great goal, but detection and response is a must. Someone will eventually get in. Like, soon we're going to talk about Twitch. Most likely an insider threat. Most likely. I don't know. I'm not doing the IR there, but it's going to happen. Whether it's a malicious insider or someone falling for something, you're going to get compromised. Your machine's going to get compromised. And that is inevitable. What can you do after that? You can detect that machine and that account are doing things that are outside of the ordinary, and then have people in process to respond to it, right? Because security is people, process, and technology. There is no silver bullet. So what our platform aims to do is to allow you to easily test yourself, measure yourself, and improve. Whether you're teaching others about what could happen if someone clicks on a link, all the way to Security Operations Center to actually see what an attacker is typing when they're going through your machine and moving laterally and doing all that. That's what we want to do. A lot of these attacks are using free open source solutions. One of our projects is called the C2 Matrix, the Command and Control Matrix. A bunch. There's 85 tools out there, and they're being actively used by threat actors against us. So if you don't have the time to do that, which many of us in security don't, then our platform should help you get there quicker. We give a lot back to a community. So when we see something like Conti is the king of ransomware today, we'll grab the cyber threat intelligence from a incident response report. We'll build that up, and then we'll share it on our community threats GitHub. So anyone can see it, can try some of these things and go from there.
All right. So we have the first question of the evening. So will any competitors try to roll out alternatives to WhatsApp for allowing better comms in the areas that primarily use for communications? We know about Signal and Telegram. Do you think that now we're going to see some other alternatives to challenge the, I guess, more social aspect of WhatsApp?
Yeah, so based on what I've seen before, not only with the WhatsApp or Facebook situation, is that anytime, let's say, a company gets hacked, or there's a breach, or there's a huge outage, competitors try to create a different tool, or even the customers of that company, they leave and go somewhere else. So it wouldn't surprise me that let's say Telegram or Signal will create better tools or more, or some sort of marketing campaigns to show people that their systems are more secure. Maybe they have access to the system if something goes wrong. So it wouldn't surprise me if those companies at some point will have more users than WhatsApp alone.
All right. So, second question here. What are the implications of a private company owning the app that's the primary communication platform in a country?
Yeah, a lot. Of course, WhatsApp says it has end-to-end encryption, but Signal is not a for-profit company. It was created by Moxie Marlinspike, which has done a lot of work in crypto, and you can look at the code and see it. So that is a much better solution. What are threat actors doing? And in this case, government that wants to spy on you. They go and they buy a tool from NSO. So company that essentially has a way to hack onto your phone, because if the platform you use has end-to-end encryption, they need to hack one of those ends, and your phone is the easiest one to hack. So they use 0 days. They use, sometimes if you don't update your phone, they're 1 days, and they get in and they have access to your phone. So the end-to-end encryption's there, but they're at the end.
That's Pegasus.
Yeah, Pegasus, exactly.
All right. What about you, Wilkin? What do you think of that question? Since WhatsApp is used very, very widely in Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and all around the Caribbean.
Pretty much what Jorge was saying. I mean, that application is so huge, then it controls a lot of data for pretty much every country around the world, I would say. So it would be hard for companies, for users to at the same time migrate all their communication to other applications. So I think that WhatsApp already own a lot of the data that's being, transferred, I would say, or communicated between different countries and users. That for me to, let's say, move to Signal or to Telegram and tell all my friends and family to move all of their stuff to other applications, this is going to be hard.
There you go. This is for you, Wilkin.
Oh, there we go.
Wepa.
Let me know and we'll help you out.
So, all right. So that started our week. And then this morning, as people were posting their cybersecurity awareness messages, we get another social media brief. This one with Twitch. So, Jorge, what do we know about Twitch yet?
Yeah. So again, the facts first, always. 125 gig torrent was posted technically last night, but most of us didn't notice until today on 4chan, and that contained a lot. You cannot go through 125 gigs in 24 hours. If you can, please let us know how you did that, because that's some good data processing you've got going on.
Yeah, we can hire you if you can do that.
Exactly. That released all sorts of things. What's hitting most of the news is the creator payouts. So how much each creator in Twitch has made. That is one of the main ones. But from the security perspective, right? Sure, that's interesting. But the source code is out there, right? So source code, API keys. I am guessing that Twitch spent most of their day today rotating keys because it's all out there. Who knows what else we're going to find? Because with source code, you now can find vulnerabilities. There was a claim that there were red team tools. I took a look at some of them. None of them appeared to be red team. Maybe one was dual use. Most of them were just Infosec tools, custom tools that they built to do various different type of monitoring and making sure that their stuff was okay. Now, what happened and how did it happen? We're not going to know. It just happened. But interestingly enough, there was a big day off Twitch protest between the Black and LGBTQ streamers just a couple days ago. And then right after, we see this. So yeah, the conspiracy will, or the thought process is that this was definitely an insider. How can someone get access to all that information and be able to do it? But even an insider, one person should not have access to all that information. So it's a work in progress. I'm not working the IR, so everything I've seen has been based on leaks and people that looked at the leaks, and purely speculation.
And what about you, Wilkins? Have you looked into it at all?
Yeah, so I was reading a little bit of it, and it is just crazy how such a big company or a company that generates so much revenue and has so many users get hacked or have the security incident, right? So you would have thought they probably have the some of the best tools, some of the best engineers or security professionals in the company. So how something like this happen and so much data gets put on the internet, right? So would it be possible for them to segregate some of the data in different locations? So if something gets hacked, let's say, okay, I can grab a list of all the users and how much money they make, but maybe not a list of all the API keys and such, right? So I think that this is definitely a lesson for them and for every other company around the world, that makes so much money, to think about their security posture and, how can they improve and think about, all right, so what if something like this happens to me? What can I do now before that happens?
Actually, that leads exactly to the next question here.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing real quick, if you don't mind. Twitch happened. What can you do though, right? Because one thing is, learning from their mistakes, but the password hashes for your account, if you have a Twitch account, you need to ensure that password that will most likely be cracked is not used anywhere else that you might have. Because what happens, a breach like this occurs, they crack your password, and then they try to log in everywhere with that password. Yeah. So go look up your Twitch password, whatever it is. If that password is used anywhere else, go change that password. Longer term recommendations, move to a password manager, right? LastPass, 1Password, KeePass, right? You name them. But I think that's the biggest impact on us as individuals. If you're not a streamer, obviously, if you're not if you're just a user, then that. But sorry, back to the next question.
Right here. How do you change the mindsets of the folks to try to switch to a more secure platform? So I hear this a lot in our audiences and all the talks that we do is security is too complicated. I don't want to use LastPass, or I don't want to carry around a key fob. How do we change that? I speak in a lot of my speeches and my talks about we secure the windows and doors in our houses. We lock our cars, okay, but we're not locking our online life. That's kind of how I talk about it. How do you guys think we should address kind of the community to get more secure? Start with Wilkinson. He works more with the community.
Yeah, what I can say is just because it works doesn't mean it's secure. You can have passwords, password 1234. All right, I can get into my Facebook account and my Instagram. Yoo-hoo. All right, cool. But maybe someone out there can do the same thing as you, gaining access to your account. Right. So showing them, the impact of having, let's say, for instance, a weak password can have into your identity, into your accounts. Right. It'll probably make more sense to them to use, a password manager or have stronger passwords or not reuse password, for example. Right. So not only telling them, all right, so you're going to get hacked, but actually showing them the impact of you getting hacked. If I use, back to the same example, password 1234 on my bank account, application, a hacker out there can get in before Christmas and steal all your money, and now you don't have any cash to buy gifts, right? So I think that showing them people, the community, people who probably don't have the same experience like we do, the actual impact of having, let's say, weak passwords can have into your account will make a huge impact too.
What about you, Jorge?
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, MFA is one, but like, is it easy? No. Like, computers are supposed to make things easy. Why are you making me have MFA? I have to pull out my phone. I don't even know where my phone is. Does it have battery? Oh, no, I can't log in, you know? So, passwordless was hilarious. I don't know if you all saw Jimmy Fallon the day that Microsoft allowed the passwordless. That's a great way. Let's get on Jimmy Fallon. Lots of normal people watch that. Not saying we're not normal, but, like non-cybersec people. Yeah, right? I know, I'm with you. But his parody on it was hilarious, right? It was like, okay, let me log in. Oh, now I got a pin emailed to me, and now I got to do this. It's like, we're not making it easier, right? So from a user perspective, right, like, we are the product of half of these companies. Like, that's why we boycotted WhatsApp but couldn't get anyone to get away from it, right? Because we are the product. That's what they're selling. Facebook wants a return on investment on their purchase of WhatsApp. And that's for all these platforms. Like, if you're not paying for the platform, you are the product, right? And nowadays, no one cares. Like, what I see on TikTok, and I don't use TikTok, but I still hear about it because there's challenges going on in schools of doing the most dumb things, like slap a staff member. Like, that, like, if someone slaps a staff member, they get slapped back. Like, that's it. So it's systematic. I don't have an easy answer for that. We got to start them from young. And like, there's kids. My daughter's 7. There's kids in her class with cell phones. Like, why? They're 7. Like, they can talk to each other. That they don't need a cell phone, much less the apps that you're putting on that and letting those kids use. So I don't know. I think it's systematic, and we got to start young, like you said, with the kids, and then let the kids teach the parents, and I don't know what else. It's maybe have cybersecurity awareness year and just do it every day, every year, and get there. But I think until people get hacked, they're not gonna worry about it or care about it until it affects them.
Until it affects the person, that's when people start caring. And unfortunately, how do you teach the impact of it? The fear, uncertainty, and doubt that we do to scare people into security, not working. It's just not tangible. So, all right, we're coming up to the top of the hour right now. I want to thank you guys for being here, Jorge and Wilkin. Please, anybody, their descriptions and their bios and social media are in the description of this video. I want to remind you guys, take a few seconds here to remind you to please go and like Raices.org. If you want to know more about our organization, go to raicescyber.org. And we're having a donation drive right now. So you can go to Raices Cyber/take action. There's buttons on the homepage. Please support us on our store. And we have a new store for merchandise for us. And just remember that we are a 501c3, so everything is tax deductible. So with that, please don't forget to like and subscribe the video when we post it. And with that, Jorge, Miss Wilkin, again, thank you very, very, very much for all your time and for everything that you've addressed with the community. Wilkin, everything you do for the community, thank you. Jorge, please let us know about the workshop so that we can post it on both Twitter and all that good stuff. So please, please, please send us that, because I know there's a lot of members of our community that would like to do that. And again, thank you very much to our community out there watching. Please continue to subscribe and share our message. Let's get more Hispanics, more Latinos, more people involved in cybersecurity. Again, thank you very much for watching. And until next week. where actually tomorrow we have an exciting show on new battlefields with the CISO of HBO Max. So please come and join us for that. And until next time, practice safe cyber.